This is Rocky. Rocky is a 19-year-old orangutan living in the Indianapolis Zoo. He was born in captivity alongside his brothers and sisters. Like some of the other great apes at the Indy Zoo, Rocky was rescued from entertainment and is housed here at the Orangutan Research Center. The research is often performed by Dr. Rob Shoemaker, a scientist who made a breakthrough in 2011 when he convinced Rocky to say the English word, "what?" A breakthrough that may help save his entire species from extinction. In 1658, scientists discovered the work of recently deceased Dutch physician Jacobus Bontius. His report on the natural history and medicine of the East Indies was finally published. Bontius was the first person to mention the creatures in print when he described them as tailless, man-like apes. In his work, he explained that the Malay people told him that orangutans could talk, but preferred not to, quote, lest he be compelled to labor. Leif Cox is founder of the Orangutan Project, an organization with a mission to ensure all orangutans the right to a safe and viable home. In his book, Orangutans, My Cousins, My Friends, he writes, I have found that many in the conservation field believe that the most intelligent great apes, after humans, were the chimpanzees, bonobo, and then the gorillas. However, I have not yet come across an experienced primate keeper who has worked closely with all the great ape species who does not believe that orangutans are by far the most intelligent of these.
I'm going to find a few questions here for him to start with. Are you ready? You want to begin?
Twice a day, 5 days a week, Rocky and two other males are asked to be part of the demonstration and research at the Indy Zoo.
And normally he'll give me a little tap. Yeah, he's ready. Okay, you want to work on this? So when he works through this today, he's not answering good, answering based on memorizing a series.
Here, Rocky's intelligence can be compassionately explored. Working through demonstrations each week, his skills have grown from speaking an English word to memorizing more than 500 characters, to today, where Rocky is being taught math.
So I've known Rocky since he arrived. He was 5 turning 6. And we always talk about how they understand English. We speak to them in a way that I would speak to you. If I were asking you, can you sit over here in this chair, please? We use thank you. So when you ask them to retrieve items, it can be a blanket, it can be that cup, it can be a bowl, they'll go and get it and you reward them. Sometimes you wonder, do they really understand English, or is it just a pattern they learn, like if you point, or the sound of the word cup, hand, foot. In the morning before they go outside on the tower, Rocky has to hand you back all of his blankets from the night before. Sometimes he gets a little anxious and starts shoving so that very difficult for me to pull through the mesh. And my hands were kind of hurting that day and I was trying to pull, and I just out of frustration trying to pull it through, I said, Rocky, I said, can you help me? And he reached his hands through the mesh and started pulling the blankets through on my side of the mesh to pull them through for me. And I just looked at him in awe of, wow, I was just kind of saying it out of frustration, not thinking that he would immediately respond and know what to do to help me.
How can a creature that cannot file its own lawsuit be granted personhood status?
Or pay taxes?
Could be.
Next thing I know, I'm going to be sitting on a plane and they're going to say, excuse me, that's the seat for this donkey.
Suena extraño que a veces piensen que hay animales que pueden ser superiores y otros inferiores, o algunos con capacidad cognitiva y otros sin capacidad cognitiva.
If you're going to give an orangutan personhood, how many crazy people out there do you think they're going to try and do it to your pets? The bottom line is, we're human beings. We have dominion over them. Bottom line, all of us. Government doesn't dictate that. We do.
In 2015, a landmark animal property and transportation case came before a court in Argentina. Aided by Leif Cox's expert witness, Judge Elena Liberatori rules that an orangutan from the Buenos Aires Zoo is legally a non-human person. Judge Liberatori later announced, "With that ruling, I wanted to tell society something new. that animals are sentient beings, and that the first right they have is our obligation to respect them.
And that is one of the things about, saying, well, orangutans are persons. A person is a sentient living being who's developed the individual concept of individual identity. So this happens in human babies and orangutan infants at approximately the same time that they start developing the theory of mind.
This is Leif Cox, the founder of the Orangutan Project. Having worked with orangutans for most of his life, Leif believes that, scientifically, orangutans are persons. His reasoning is that they possess theory of mind, the ability to attribute mental states to oneself and others, understanding that others have beliefs, desires, intentions, and perspectives that are different from one's own.
There was a lady that came in that had been badly burned, and she had the burns and the bandages all over her, and I guess she had been feeling not good about herself and just depressed. And she came in and saw Rocky in the studio, and Rocky came up immediately. And she showed him, and when she left, she was crying, and she was so elated about how he reacted to her, like it was okay, and that he wasn't scared, and it didn't alarm him, and he wanted to comfort her and know about what happened to you, and that it was okay. And that was a very touching moment, that you don't even realize what they might do for a person.
Rocky, like all orangutans, is not human. He cannot speak in our evolving languages, write poetry that touches the soul, or create tools more complex than intertwined sticks. But he has theory of mind, empathy for others, and the ability to learn language and math. There are people fighting to prove that orangutans deserve the rights of a person, a word generally associated with human, but with no legal definition of person, at least no definition that would exclude orangutans. How can an answer be determined? This debate, one of semantics and definitions, may seem largely unimportant, another animal rights demonstration. But behind the question, there is desperation, a last-ditch effort to save an entire species from total extinction. More than 50,000 orangutans on the islands of Borneo and Sumatra have died due to palm oil monocultures. Man-made fires tear through the jungle multiple times per year. Massive businesses aided by a government under protest continue to take land from indigenous peoples and species. Orangutans whose habitats have been destroyed often enter villages and plantations in search of food, where they are captured or killed by farmers who treat them as pests. Orangutans are an entire species on the brink of collapse because of humans, a species we are just now beginning to explore.
This is our last opportunity, before the rainforest itself and populations become unviable and unrecoverable. And this is why I call this the most important decade of human history.
The forests in Indonesia and Borneo have 10 years left. Actions like avoiding palm oil products, meeting orangutans at a local zoo, and giving to financially transparent animal charities are all a part of the orangutan's survival. There's a chance to save the orangutan population before it becomes unviable. And while great endeavors are being put forth to help the species survive, it is only through our collective efforts that we can save the orangutans.